Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
First, a word from our sponsor. The Daily Compliance News for March 28, 2023, the textbook edition. And we begin with that story from the New York Times as the Fed Vice Chair calls the failure of Silicon Valley Bank a textbook case of mismanagement. He detailed a poor internal management, excessive risk-taking, and details the steps Fed supervisor took to address the problems that ultimately killed the bank. The bank's collapse obviously sent shockwaves, but, it turns out it was just basic old mismanagement, maybe with a little fraud and insider trading thrown in. So, nothing new in the world of bank failures. Next up, from Reuters, the CFTC Monday brought a claim against Binance and its CEO and founder, Mr. Zhao, for operating what the regulators allege were an illegal exchange and a sham compliance program. Well, nothing worse than having a sham compliance program, and they charged him with willful evasion of U.S. law while engaging in a calculated strategy of regulatory arbitrage. So it is finally come to pass that Binance is now in the regulators' lawsuits. Next up from Reuters, Venezuela cracks down on corruption as an expanding anti-corruption probe has detained 10 officials and 11 businessmen, the country's attorney general said. The investigation is focused on perhaps the most corrupt state oil company on the planet, PDVSA, and a government entity supervising its cryptocurrency operations and the judiciary. The country's powerful oil minister resigned last week over it. And if you've ever had to do business with PDVSA or read anything, you know that the corruption there is just endemic. Our final story is perhaps one of the most interesting and unintended consequences of the pay transparency movement. And that says that companies have to list their pay for new recruits. And so one accountant who, after seeing a LinkedIn role for a job on her team, and showing that new recruits would be paid more than her, is changing jobs. Then this person said, ever since then, I don't work over 40 minutes. I do not stay late online. I do not take extra work. And many employees are feeling growingly upset after salary information being posted. So companies trying to tool over employees, intentional or not, through low pay are finding that's not worth it. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.